speaker is Lindsay Metters-Fenley. She is a former Iowa State All-American and a WNBA draftee. She co-founded Campus Cycle, Elite 360 Training, a sport development business for athletes in Central Iowa, and is a motivational speaker and mental health advocate. She is also passionate about giving back, a life well lived, and most especially time with her family. Billy, Iowa State women's basketball assistant coach, her son Will, who's 7, and Callie, who is 4. Today's presentation is entitled Hope and Healing, a Mental Health Journey. Let's hear it for Lindsay Fenley.
All right. I gotta be honest, this is the most nervous I've ever been. I've told this story to 10,000 people, largely kids over Central Iowa, over the last 3 years, but I've never told it to such a unique, special, dynamic, wonderful group of young people. I will cry. I will laugh. All I'm asking is that you listen better than my kids do, which won't require a lot. So here we go. So we're going to touch on a lot of things. We're going to move quickly because I only have you here till about 1:30. I want to start off by saying this. I am not an expert at anything. I'm simply an experiencer. So understand the things that I'm sharing with you don't just come through me. They come through the experience I've had with a lot of people in the 36 years of my life. This is kind of like if I were in your shoes. Now that I'm 36, here's what I wish I would have known a couple years before. So let's jump in. First of all, what is success? What does it look like? My clicker. There we go. Boom. Right? This is success. You got the gold chain. You got the gangster look. This is success when I was growing up. Raise your hand if you know the show MTV Cribs. Okay, so that was like our version of success, right? That's what I grew up. I was sitting in your shoes, your age, that's what I thought of. But a couple things about success that I think is important for this age to hear. It's about satisfaction, it's simple, it's repeated, it's duplicated, it's habits, it's happy. Most importantly, success, and this comes from John Wooden, who was a great coach back in the day, and he talked about having the satisfaction of knowing that you did your best as often as possible. And so I want you to think about that word as you're thinking about applying for jobs or applying for schools or trying to get ready for the final couple days of school that we have left before the break. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to get to? And so before we talk about anything else, in order to get there, I guess I got to be closer. In order to get some success in life, right, we got to know who we're listening to. Why me? And so I just put this up here. Those are the two that you got to try and rival in listening to me, and you guys are doing way better than they would at this point, so keep it up. I do have a lot of experience in a lot of different things, but the thing that I have the most amount of background in is honestly training young people. So raise your hand if we've ever shared the court together. Raise your hand. Okay, so I've worked with a lot of you guys. You guys are going to hear a story about me that you won't believe. You're going to hear a story about me that doesn't seem real because you saw a happy-go-lucky, smiling all the time, high-fiving you, chest bumping you, butt slap. I didn't butt slap anybody. But you saw somebody who always had your back, but I am finally learning, how do I learn to have my back too? And the most important thing I just want you to pay attention for the next couple minutes is I'm a mom. And know this, that your parents love you. Your parents cherish you. Your parents don't want you to go anywhere. Does it drive us crazy when you violate curfew? Yes. Do we wish you got straight A's every time? Yes. But there is nothing that a young person should hear more than you are loved for, you are cared for, and we want to have you in our lives. So trust me, I know it from a mom's perspective. Stay with me here over the next couple minutes. So first thing we got to talk about in having good health, financial health. Raise your hand if you understand money. Raise your hand if you understand cryptocurrency. All right, we got to talk after because I don't get it, but I hear I should. Here's just a couple important things to do. When you get to, how many of you guys want to go to college? Raise your hand, you want to go to college. Okay, put your hands down. When you go to college, not only will you have to pay for your college, but you'll have to probably pay for the expenses that are related to you going to college. So what I encourage young people at this age to start doing, start paying attention to it. I am not going to question your reading ability, so I'll let you guys go through some of this, but pay attention to what do things cost. Because at your age, one of the biggest stressors that I see amongst families is financial. How do I pay for college? How do I pay for the next meal? How do I make sure I understand how to do a bank account? Like, there are actually it's not always just about expenses going out. We also got to start thinking about how do we want to pay for college, or how do we want to pay for the things that we want. 3 things to do with your money. I just think it's important to tell high schoolers to spend it on needs, save with a sharp mind, and then share with a generous heart. So make giving something that is something that you do and you do a lot. Okay, here's the next slide. I'm going to move through these first couple. Physical health, right? Super important. There's a lot of components to being a quote-unquote successful young person. Financial health is part of it. Physical health, working out every single day. Read that third one. There's a, fourth. I can't count. Told y'all I need help in the math department. There's a direct correlation between minimizing your anxiety and stress with sweating and being able to release healthy endorphins, right? So there's a direct correlation from this. Find routines that make you happy. I want you guys to close your eyes, and I need you to trust me. And I'm going to ask all the adults in the room to close your eyes as well. The only human being that can see with their eyes open right now is me with the mic in my hand. I want you to raise your hand if you feel better after working out. Raise your hand. Okay, put your hand down. Now I want you to raise your hand if you work out every day. Okay, put your hand down. Okay, open your eyes. You guys listen so much better than Will and Callie, and gosh dang it, I love them. But wow, that was good. Okay, so about what percentage do you think raised their hand when they said who likes working out? About 90%. But yet only about 40, 50 of us, look, I'm not perfect at it either, but we know that there's a direct correlation. You start to feel anxious, you're getting to finals time, you gotta spend time maybe with more family over the next couple days, and maybe that makes your heart palpitate a little bit. That's probably not a funny joke. But right, that's part of it. And so understanding healthy things. Because look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and this is where I'm gonna start to unveil sort of some truths. Drugs, marijuana, drinking, vaping, these are not healthy alternatives to relieving your stresses. And I think as a society, high schoolers get away with that. You get into college, binge drinking levels are at an all-time high because we just say, just escape and erase the pain by fulfilling it with something else. If you need to fulfill your stress button, try and fulfill it as much as we can with a sweat instead. Socio-emotional health. I think this is super important. Learning to engage in healthy relationships. Respect yourself, respect the people around you, learn to lift others up. And then this is one of my favorites at this age. Blowing out someone else's candle doesn't do anything to you, it just dims the room. On Friday afternoon, I picked our son up from school and he was big old alligator tears in his eyes. And I said, Will, what happened? And I'm thinking like, he missed one of his shots at recess. He's got a mom and dad in sports, so we don't take the second place ribbon. And he said, no, Mom, they said that I was the worst player out there today. They said they didn't want to play with me anymore. And my heart broke into a million pieces. Like, this is the first time my little guy's come home and I don't have the words or the response, or I couldn't be there to lift him up. As a community, as a school, I am proud to think that this group is different and special. And this group isn't going to make fun of each other on Snapchat because it makes somebody else laugh. And this group isn't going to stab somebody behind their back because it looks cool to someone else. The last thing you will hear me say this afternoon is if nothing you heard from my mouth comes about, it is simply be a good person. Not try to get this award, not try to get this scholarship, just be a good human and everything else takes shape. But it's hard because you guys have these devices now that none of us had growing up. Cell phones make weird. I can't cuss on school grounds, but you guys all know what I just said. It makes relationships weird. It makes everything awkward. When I was growing up, I didn't have a cell phone that gave me access to an app called Tinder or Google that gave me access to Zac Efron without a shirt on. Like, I didn't have that growing up. You guys, instead, we had these things, they're like, they have a cover here and a cover here, and you open it up. It's called a book, right? It's called a book, but I'm telling you, man, cell phones have made stuff weird. And so here's the thing I want you to think. More books, less phones. The actions that you do now will affect you in the future. You think you get away with everything on Snapchat because it disappears? It doesn't disappear. You're just building a poor habit of communicating in a way that's inappropriate. The players that I train have heard me say this. If you wouldn't send it to your grandma, don't send it. Right? That's not a healthy approach, is to constantly be involving and engaging in a way. But here's where I really feel bad for you guys. You guys don't ever get a break. You get out of school and then you got a Snapchat group, and if you don't respond to the Snapchat group within 30 minutes, then they get mad at you, and then they tell their friend, and then their friend tells this person. It's just nonstop. Learn to give yourselves a break with your phones. You don't have to be available all the time. The best button, I think, on your phone is do not disturb. Learn to sit with your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, your time, and not always be sucked in to being a part of everyone else's. And I got people in the back who are like, Lindsay, do you do that? No, I'm working on it too, right? We're all a work in progress. And then the last one before I jump in here is gain adult supporters. Develop an army of walking ambassadors, people who have your back. What we're about to talk about is a really, really hard subject. It's a hard subject for me, and I know it's a hard subject for this community. But I want you guys as young people to hear me when I say coaches, parents, teachers, mentors, counselors. There are so many people that have your back. I'm going to say that one more time. There are so many people that have your back. Lean into them. Trust them. I'm not standing on this stage or pulsing back and forth because I think I know it all. I'm standing here to help you. And so identify safe adults and stay connected to them, right? Success leaves a footprint. Find people in this community that you know you can talk to and relate to, because it's no offense to your peers, but they don't always have the answers. And they are not always the safest place to go to. So find safe adults as much as you can. And then the last really slide here that I just want to touch on is mental health. So 2013, I had 5,000 Twitter followers. I had this building training business. I had it all. Happy, healthy marriage. And then my world came crashing down. I spent 15 days in the behavioral health unit here at the Mary Greeley Hospital Center. And when I got out of the hospital, they said, Lindsay, I said, why was I there? Like me, like Lindsay Fenley, like I had all this stuff behind me that made it seem like I was successful. Why was I in the hospital? They said, well, you have a mental illness. I said, no, I don't. You have a mental illness. And I told this to a doctor who's been practicing for many, many years. And at the end of that, I walked up and he said, I want you to go see a counselor every other week. I want you to take medication, and I want you to reorganize your life and your schedule and your structure. And I basically looked at him and I said a short 4-letter word, and I walked out of the building. And I said, there's nothing wrong with me. It was just like, high stress, and I had a lot going on. And so 5 years went by, and we had 2 children over that time from 2013 to 2018. And I built another business, and I had 2 locations of it. And from the outside looking in, I could tweet all these wonderful quotes, and I could say all these wonderful phrases. But inside, I was reeling, because I had a really bad family dynamic going on. And I hadn't lost all the baby weight. And I was struggling with issues of my businesses. But on the outside looking in, like as long as I got 200 likes on the gram, hey, yeah, no, funny, thought it was funny. Trying to relate to you guys. So I had like 200 likes on the gram, and I'd be like, well, I'm good. Like as long as I look like I'm good to all these people, inside, even though I am reeling, I am struggling, I hate myself, I'm good. And so I took a business trip with my best friend and business partner, and we were standing on the beaches of Malibu, which is about 2,000 miles away where I grew up. And I looked at her and I said, man, Kels, this is the best our life is ever going to get. We've got happy marriages, we've got happy homes, we've got beautiful kids, we've got great jobs. We work really hard, but we have a good time doing it. And 5 minutes after I uttered those words, I looked back at her and I said, with my lip quivering, I said, Kelsey, I don't think I should be here anymore. She said, what do you mean? And I said, I don't know, something doesn't feel good. Like I don't feel good about myself. I don't think I should be on earth anymore. Like I don't deserve it. This world doesn't deserve me. I don't deserve my kids. I don't deserve my husband. I don't deserve any of this. And what was then the scariest 2 hours of my life, they put me in a straitjacket. So if you've seen, they do that in the movies. They put me in a straitjacket. They put me in the back of an ambulance. We went to the UCLA Medical Center, and I was experiencing what's called a manic episode and a complete breakdown. Now my second one in 5 years. And as I was going to the hospital, I remember thinking to myself, like, this is it. I couldn't tell if I was alive. I couldn't tell if I was gone. I couldn't tell if my husband was going to leave me. I couldn't tell you if Kelsey was with me. And everything was scary, and everything was sad, and everything was horrifying. And then the next day, they put me on an airplane. And they put me on an airplane to get me back home. Because the thing I begged for most my husband. And I said, get me home to Billy, please. I said, I know I need to be hospitalized. I said, I know I'm struggling with some really, really hard stuff. But I said, I will not take any form of treatment until you get me home to him. Because since I was in your shoes at 17 years old, he has been my medication. And I said, he has been my rock. So if I'm going to do this, I need him with me. So they put me on a plane, and I went back to Iowa. And for 4 days, I tried to fake it. I was like, no, I'm good, guys. Like, I know I'm crying, but like, I'm good. I've just been through a lot. I'll get through this. And it was really evident to everyone in my inner circle at that time that I was actually at the lowest point I'd ever been in my life. Because who can in 1 minute say they feel like they are on top of a mountain and they could fly? Literally, I was trying to jump off the balcony of our apartment in Malibu in 1 minute. And then the next minute I would race over and I would say, hey, I bet I can play Dodge cars with all these cars going down PCH. And then I go, and that was that moment in Malibu where I'd completely lost my mind. And in that moment, as I look back on my life, I can truly, truly say, that was not me. That was not me at all. And I am so thankful that I got treatment. And I am so thankful that I got help. And I am so thankful that I was able to say, I cannot do this alone. And so for 21 days, I went back to the Mary Greeley Medical Health Center, 6th floor. I've now stayed 37 total days in the behavioral health unit. It is not a fun place to be. It is not necessarily warm and inviting and welcoming, and it shouldn't be, because it's a place of recovery, and recovery first and foremost. But why I wanted to tell you guys this story is I have been there. I have been to a place that a lot of people either don't want to admit or don't ever hopefully have to go to. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up with this final slide, and I just want you guys to hopefully soak in some of this. And that's this, that my mental illness has taught me to value my mental health. 1 in 5 of us in this room are diagnosed with a mental illness condition, meaning you need treatment, you need therapy, you have a diagnosis. Schizophrenia, bipolar, ADHD, a host of different specific diagnoses, 1 in 5. But then there's a lot of us that are just struggling mental health-wise. And we all need to work on our mental health. So if that affects 1 in 5, our mental illness, how does it affect each of us is 1 in 1, right? Is all of us are affected, all of us can improve our mental health. And then making self-care a non-negotiable priority. If you can learn as a high school student to take a shower every day, great job. You're 1 step ahead of most of your college counterparts here at some point. All right, and you guys can go through that list, but a couple important ones I want to mention. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Sleep 7 to 10 hours a night. When I'm extremely manic, so there's 2 parts of my condition. There's mania, which I like thrive at and love to live at because it's like driving a fast car without any sort of worry in the world. And then there's depression. And I get really, really manic when I don't sleep at least 7 to 10 hours a night. So making sure that at a young age you're prioritizing sleep. Couple others, talk with a professional. I know that can be a challenge sometimes, so that's why I mentioned Safe Adult earlier. Don't let the stigma of mental health neglect your need for proper care. We talked about those. Strong boundaries is important. And then this last one I just put down was feed and water the plant, right? If you feed and water and nurture your brain in a way that can help grow and develop it, it's going to improve. But if you're constantly sending negative messages to your brain, that's certainly not going to help either. So here's the last slide, and then we're going to call this a day. These are my top 5. So I appreciate you guys being super respectful of me getting emotional, but this topic means a lot to me. So the top 5, if there's nothing you carry away with today, here's what they are. Number 1 is always be kind. Always, always, always be kind. Be kind to the person who shops the groceries for you. Be kind to your parents, to your siblings, to your classmates, to your teachers. Always be kind. If you are on board with always being kind, I want you to clap once. Go. Y'all got rhythm up here, Gilbert? I was kind of thinking about moving my family up here, but not if that's what the dance floor is going to look like. All right, on the count of 3, 1 clap. Always be. Wait. 3. Good listening. All right, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next one. In a world full of ponies, be a unicorn. Right? Embrace your awesome. You were put on this earth for a reason. Maybe I've said the word college 6 times today, and you're like, I'm not trying to go to college. That's up for you, your parents, your counselors, and all that to figure out. but I think it's awesome when we as individuals embrace who we really are and don't have to go by the stigma of what we're supposed to be told or how we're supposed to act. So if you can be more unicorn-like, clap twice. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. Number 3, a really important one in today, finding safe adults. I want you to raise your hand if you have in your mind, not including a parent, a safe adult that you would trust and reach out to if you are struggling in some way. Okay, if you do not have your hand raised, you have homework. And your homework is to find a safe adult. All right, 3 claps for find safe adult. 1, 2, 3. Okay, number 4, be intentional with your brain space. This one, I could spend all day talking about messages and TikTok, and well, I can't dance, but just the important messages. If all you do is scroll your TikTok all day and you wonder why you're sad, depressed, and lonely, get outside and go for a walk. Volunteer at a local organization. Ask your parents, hey, is there something that I can be doing to help around the house? Right? So try to control those brain waves. And more importantly, brain space. So if you can be a little bit more intentional, you got 4 claps. So see if we can stay together now. 1, 2, 3. All right, and last one. The last one, and I wrote this in red. Never ever harm yourself or the people around you. You can't escape the pain, but I don't want you to escape life. Thank you so much, Gilbert. I'm going to turn it over to your principal, and I seriously appreciate it. I did put my email up there. If you ever need anything, I can help in any way. Thank you. And lastly, go Tigers.
Let's give Lindsay one more round of applause. We are super fortunate to have her here today with us. She speaks all over into, like she said, thousands and thousands of students, and for her to take time out of her busy schedule to come do this for us really means a lot to our school. The things that she put up there on the screen are very simple things, but if we all commit to doing those things, we're going to create a better environment here. So we're appreciative of everything everyone does. Try to be as positive as you can. Treat each other with respect and be kind, because we never know what people are going through. And you know, you're going to have some time off here pretty soon. Enjoy that time off with family and friends, and relax and recharge for the upcoming semester. So thank you, everybody. You can head to your next class. Have a great day.